All right guys, in this video we're finishing up the electrical. Now I had a lot of unfinished electrical stuff from years ago and I've changed my mind on a few things. So we're moving some plugs, adding lights, TV, garage door openers, and a few more things. So let's get into it. Here we go. All right, we got our garage door on. Shop's looking good. Getting ready for the electricity now. So we're gonna start by mounting this garage door opener. Got this one from V&R, same place as I got that door, the GM dealership. They scavenged through the whole building, and this one was tucked up in the corner there, and they didn't see it, but that thing is still worth like $1,000. Score! And truth be told, if you look up there, there's wood up there, and some wires, and the buttons for a actual controller. And that's because it did have an opener on it, but when I was building the barn, I was so broke that I had to sell it and install it on a barn that I was building because I needed the money when we were building. And that's what happens, you make it work. And then you just take it a little bit at a time and finally get my dream shop. So we're gonna mount that on our big door. These things are pretty universal in the fact that the shaft that opens them goes through the machine, so you can either stick this pulley on this side or on this side. It being on the left-hand side, we want this small pulley on the right here, and then this one will go on the door with the keyway. Need to have a chain fall on it in case the electricity goes out, or the hydro like we like to call it. So what you do is pull on this little chain guy here, and that will disconnect it, and then we've got our lasers pointing at each other on the bottom of the track. I did tighten the spring one little bit, or 1/4 turn on each side, because the door's 10 years old and it was just getting a little heavy to lift up. And I greased all the rollers, and then because it's a side mount, because if I had an overhead opener, it would have been right where my vent is. We need these pusher springs at the back, because once the entire weight of the door is in the track, then nothing is going to push the door back down again. So if you use the opener, it'll just unspool all the cable off there, and then you have a bad day. So you need the springs in the back just to push that last little bit. As soon as one door is in the track and the tracks are angled up a bit, then the weight of the door will come down and keep tension on the cables. So we'll lift this up. Hopefully don't drop it on myself or in the barrels of oil. I think the wiring is already there for my old one. So here we go. So as for the wiring for the controls, my face is really dirty. A little better. As for the controls, it's best to take a picture of how you wired it up top. As this is a used one, I'll just leave a little bit of wire sticking out. Blue obviously goes with blue, red obviously goes with orange. Black obviously goes with brown because they both start with B's, and then you have one left over. Green goes to white because it doesn't make sense. And if you don't know, you look at your pictures. When your boss yells at you, get off your phone, you can say, I'm looking at the color scheme. No big sparks, should be fine. Yeah. Shorter screws. Drywall screws are awesome because they're super pointy and they grab like right away. And just because I hate when everything's a different size. I didn't take a finishing picture of my new wiring scheme to confirm, but I think that was my reasoning. Blue is definitely blue. All right, so I got my garage door opener on all the way. Now this is an older model. It's actually from 1997. In 1998, they came with built-in radio transmitters for your remote control. So this one has a broken control. You can see the little wire hanging out at the top. I ordered a new one so that I can program it to my remotes. I've got the wire going down for my lasers. I got that tucked nicely on the side, and the lasers are just so that it knows that there is nothing in between the door when it closes. More important for when you have kids in that, it's always if somebody's running through or tries to do something stupid. You don't really want to put the lasers on your track. I've got it on the wall, and this is my lowest layer of strapping. My other strapping is right on the very bottom. That's no good, because if it's on the track and the track vibrates a little bit because the door's going up and down, it'll mess with your sensors. I also couldn't figure out why it wasn't working. The door would go up and then stop, and the only reason that that happened is the rope was swinging in front of the laser that I used to use to pull the door back down. So let's cut this thing off and then it's good to go. Nice. Okay, so the lights look like they're really random, but they really aren't. I started here with a light right over top of my bolt bin. I don't want it off my bolt bin. I'm pretty happy with these being right here. And then these cords are 4 feet long. So basically I went to the end and then staggered. So that one ended up nicely right over top of my lathe. That brings these 2 lights closer that way. I've got a window here for natural light during the day anyway. And then I've got the other 2 coming back this way. I tied my plugs into the lights as well, so that when I leave, every one of these plugs except for 2 go dead. Reduces any chances of grinders catching fire at night or batteries overcharging or whatever. And the same goes for the plugs all on the wall underneath my castle, those workbenches. When I turn those lights off, all those plugs go dead as well. I've got my layout nice where I want it now. I've got my brake over because I'm building those workbenches. I'm using street signs for the doors, so I'm bending those up. But the brake would go right here. Might have to roll this over just a little bit, but I got my shear, my brake, and my English wheel. We've got a 220 plug for Vince for all his TIG welding, and if he is going to MIG in this corner. And then we've got his benches here. Now, I'm using street signs as doors, and it's working out really nice on the other benches. We'll show you guys that in the next video, and I'll probably end up putting some doors on here as well. I don't like all the spare steel and aluminum underneath the benches because it's hard to rummage through. It needs to be organized better. Whether I hang that on the wall over there so you can see it in multiple more layers, or even off the ceiling, like in spots here, just over top. I'm not sure yet. I'll talk that over with Vince, but something else has to be done. But I do like the clean look of everything being covered. We didn't put angle iron on the front here, and that's so that Vince can use C-clamps nice and easy, or vice grips to clamp stuff down right here if he's not using the bowling ball table. And then that's nice for rolling his welding stuff there. So this is his box, and then my toolbox is underneath for all the mobile welding stuff too. Nice and handy for when he was welding outside on the Terrigator, so he's not grabbing everything and moving it back and forth. We've got a welder here that I don't really use much at all, so it can stay here. It can even go in the far corner there and open up this space yet. And then the drill press right here. Everything in here still goes dead when the light switch goes off. We got enough room to walk back and forth in between a car here yet. And then we're finally set on the lathe is staying right here. It is on wheels, so I can roll it out. If I do have something bigger, goes through the back, that like it's hollow, so you can stick a longer tube through there, so I can still swing it out if I have to. And I actually like the extra 2.5 inches, 3 inches as I'm standing here. This is the perfect height for me to look at and adjust things, and even watching sitting on the bar stool. I'm gonna cut the TV in there yet, that's coming up. And then this is the right spot for my torches and my welder. Nice and close to the door, so I can roll them out and go into the shop if I need them out there. And we put a 220 plug right on the outside here, and that will do this whole kind of corner of the shop here. Another 220 plug over by the breaker panel, which is in the far side of the shop. And then we've got some really nice extension cords from Princess Auto to get us in the middle if we can't reach. I replaced that one missing ceiling fan. I'm still waiting for the proper switch to turn them on and off. But what's crazy is I was working and this fan just dropped. I was about 10 feet away and it dropped right beside me, the whole fan, while it was still spinning. And what actually happened is the bolt broke. So there's a bolt that must hold the thing in place, and whether that vibrated, it was vibrating enough that it just wore through that bolt. All I can say is if you've got nice cars in your shop and you have a wiggly fan on top, get rid of that wiggly fan because it's cheaper than replacing a hood. I got lucky because it just landed on the floor. The other ones, they don't vibrate, they just hang there and do what they're supposed to do. But I can't remember if this one was wiggling or not, but that bolt broke for a reason, so keep an eye on that. Okay, so for underneath the my castle, I'm just gonna call it castle because I've never had a castle before until now. Underneath in my castle, I use these Halo 4-inch LED lights. They're actually adjustable between the 3,000, 4,000, and 5,000. It's whatever you prefer, but we also have to think about the camera. Underneath in the welding shop, it's like 5,000 and it's very bright. And I did that so that Vince doesn't know what time of day it is anymore. It just plays with his head, and at 3 in the morning, he still thinks it's like 10 in the morning, nice and bright. And it's like, how long have I been welding? But we need a little bit warmer in the shop. So we'll probably, with 3 spots, we'll probably leave it in 4,000. So we'll put the link for these down below. These are about as easy as it gets. Power in, plug it in, lay it in there, tuck it up. Done. Bam! I can actually see what's going on. And at night, I can see my reflection, sort of. Another thing I gotta get is a broken window. I gotta replace this window, and that will be coming up soon too. But this rag is at least an R22, and that's what I'm going for. R22 is good enough for me. So the accent lighting is just an LED strip. It comes as a kit. You got your transformer and then a roll of tape, 3M on the back. You can cut it every 10 centimeters if you want. You can join them together if you're really handy. I'm going to do the bicycles and the tricycle. I'm gonna get rid of those tires and do it on top of the, in front of the glass there too. For LED kit, just run a plug, you just plug it in. Your transformer, which is low voltage for the strip all the way along. Beautiful, easy peasy, here we go. I got a secret for you guys. If you guys wanna make a pile of money, and I mean a pile of money, bricklaying's where it's at. It's super labor intensive and nobody wants to do it because it's hard work. I mean, look at this. I mean, who can do that all day? They'll probably make a battery powered one of these too. There we go. All right, so that looks great. The only issue is I'm short just a little bit of brick. And you don't really notice it, but it is missing, and I notice it. So you gotta be creative and take brick from somewhere else and make it work. It's that simple. Here we go. That's not working out well at all. Basically, it's so brittle that it's starting to break. nearly done. I made one mistake though. It's hard to see with the camera, but I moved the LED lights back about 3 inches because you can just see it. Right there I can see the lights, and that's no good. So I'll move those back yet, and then we're gonna carry on to the next thing. I've got this garage door opener here. This is the LiftMaster Chamberlain, but this one was a ceiling mount, not a side mount. This is a newer one. This one's got the built-in remote on it. So if you hold the remote button, then you hold your actual remote until it flashes, and then you hit the button again, and then your remote's programmed. The other one is a 97, so it has a remote for it, but it's actually separate from the unit itself. So I got an antenna for this one, I got an antenna coming, and then I've got the separate remote coming for the other one, so I can open them cordlessly or with an app eventually. This one was ceiling mount, not a side mount, but it's basically the same opener. So I made my own brackets to mount it on the wall because it would only work for a direct yank that way. It won't work for a high rise. So basically it works the exact same. You've got your adjustment on the top here. So I'm gonna mount it to the wall. This sprocket needs to be replaced, and that's coming along with the remotes. So I got, this is a 3/4 inch shaft. It's a 1 inch shaft up top. So just direct chain. I got a little bit of chain left over from the other one. So then we'll have 2 working garage doors on remotes, and that one will just, I'll open it manually because I don't use that one as much because we usually have a project on the bench. Now, why do you want an opener? Let's see. Focus. See this crease? Because I drove in with a backhoe and I didn't have the door up all the way. So doors are actually super expensive, and that bottom panel is worth more than the entire door, according to the people selling you that bottom panel. So with an opener, it allows the door to go up all the way. You can just walk away, it'll stop on its own, and that will hide that bottom panel. So especially if you have employees or whatever that are too lazy to open the door up all the way, then that's what happens. Usually late at night, it's right when you want to go home, it knocks the cables off, then you can't close the door. So an opener will pay for itself over time. You'll never know it, but it will pay for itself. So we're gonna install that one. Just should have done a long time ago. That door's okay, it's a little crease. I don't ram into the shop with anything. I also had another track I was laying around that was the right track, so it's not all banged up, so I just unbolted it. You can do that right in place. You can pull half the hinges off if you want, it doesn't hurt anything. Just don't touch that cable. And then I was able to pull this track out. The bolt holes didn't line up, so I drilled my own, and now I have a nice working door again. I can put the opener on. So I don't have all the pieces. I'm gonna hang it anyway just to get it out of the way. And then one more thing that's close. I gotta take the scaffolding down. I need some other parts and stuff. So I gotta get back to work because this is actually taking what I thought would take 2 days is now day 6. Here we go. All right, got that hung up there temporarily. One last thing is this wall here for my welding booth. I've got a wall there I gotta do something with, and I have a TV here. So what I'm gonna do is cut a hole in the wall and put the TV in there so I can swivel it. So I can point it in to that room or on the outside if I'm working out here. And I can watch more YouTube. I honestly don't watch a whole lot of YouTube because I'm always working, but maybe if I have it on in the background, I can keep up on some other channels, see some of those other great YouTube channels out there. I could buy 2 TVs, but I don't have a whole lot of money. What I do have is a bunch of scrap steel and a little bit of imagination. We'll weld that together. And you guys don't understand either that we live like an hour from the closest city where we can buy stuff. So it's like 2 hours, 3 hours by the time I'm there and back. It'll take me, about an hour to cut a hole in the wall and hang a TV. And then I only need 1 Chromecast, and it just makes sense. So, here we go. So here's a nice little hack if you are in construction. Just screw a couple 2x4s to the top of your sawhorses. That way you can sacrifice them when you're cutting across. Just set the blade a touch deeper than your wood, and then you can just chop away. Then you don't wreck your sawhorse. Here we go. Cut and trim with a skill saw. That looks okay, except I messed up pretty good. In all honesty, the battery died in my tape box, but that gap shouldn't be there. That's a pretty significant gap there. So we'll raise this up, and luckily we can lift up on the bottom trim, and she'll be good as new. Here we go. Measure once, cut once. Here we go. Oh, and the wood curls. Probably a bit too tight. Clear. I had to notch this out, and I made the mistake of measuring the size of the TV, but the TV actually curls. So the center is actually like a quarter to a half inch bigger than the outsides. I gave myself a little bit of room, but not enough, because the wood also has a bow in it. So I had to massage it a little bit with a hammer, and then I had to notch up the plates to because as I was spinning it, the TV was hitting the plate. So I think I got it now. Here we go. All right, so TV's in. Couple small mistakes. I measured the TV here, and as you can see, the ergonomics of the TV make it bigger in the middle than it does on the sides, which was a mistake. And I didn't count on the wood having kind of crowns in it because it's old barn board. The stuff's 100 years old. It's not perfectly straight, so she's a bit tight in here. And also the it does spin. Oh, look at good old Al there. That is a nice Cummins. If you haven't checked out the 24 valve Cummins swap then, but yeah, that lets me work nicely in this area here. And see it while I'm working on the lathe. Oh, and then when I'm welding and throwing sparks, we just spin it back the other way. All right, so that just about does it for the electrical side of it. Still some small stuff to finish up. We'll be going through the entire shop after I've built my cabinets. So the next video is going to be making my own cabinets. We did a review of the 10-foot benches there. That will be included in that after using them for 2 years. And then I'm building my own custom ones. And if those work out really well, then I'll build a few more, probably the upper cabinets in the welding area, and then behind the GTO and in between the 8-foot doors. So hopefully you really want to stick around for those last 2 episodes, especially the last one where I walk through the entire shop, why I designed it the way I did, what I would change, what I would do exactly the same, and things to keep in mind when you guys are designing your own shop. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you want to work on your projects, but you want to be able to go out there and work on them too. If it's cold and uncomfortable and whatever else, it makes it a lot harder to get motivated to get out there. So it doesn't take, takes a little bit, but well worth it to make a nice working environment. So if you're not filthy, you're not rich, get out there and work on it. Doesn't matter what it is, go out there and do something.